What's up? What's up? Oil's up. That's for sure. The crude oil is going to Pluto. Does anybody know the phone number to call in for this thing by any chance? Connie needs it. And speaking of Connie, KB, can you do the notes tonight, big boy? Does that work for you? Yeah. So, anyways, when we get the number, let me know. Because she already calls me a jackass every day anyway, so it wouldn't be a surprise, but I don't know where it's at. But anyways, so here we are, and you got listen. I don't know what good there is to say in general about the markets. I mean, even when we were long before we got short, I thought that they were in trouble. Okay, and I think they're in bigger trouble, and we'll get into all that stuff and more. But I mean, to me, you can't deliver goods to places. What are you gonna do? Okay, I mean, is that not? Don't we consider that a problem anymore? We can't get goods to our stores. Okay, you're seeing crude oil today up 262. I mean, markets are closed. But the volume that crude traded today was like the volume of the markets weren't closed today. Okay, this was like a fully active, regular day almost. I mean, it was a little bit less than usual, but I mean, certainly look at the push. And of course, we came right down to our support level. Okay, and of course pushed right up. Now, again, I'm not going to tell you that I think we're going well north of 100. Okay, and you know how hard that is for me to say, because I typically never want to buy crude oil. But I think that you have to just look at what these simple facts are. Okay, we are dependent on our enemies to supply us with one of our most important resources, and of course, why should we get it ourselves? It's in our backyard. Okay, we've only got at current usage about a 300-year supply. Okay, but let's go get robbed by Saudi Arabia and by the rest of the criminals out there and OPEC, and let's make Americans pay way up to fill up their cars, to farm their land, to heat their homes. God forbid we should be, trying to fight the inflation that the Fed refuses to fight. Okay. Now, I mean, the Fed is, like I said, either they're just criminals or they're stupid. Okay. Again, it's hard to say they're stupid when they've all got these major degrees. Of course, I guess we know degrees can be bought, but in all seriousness, I don't think they're dumb people. I just think they either have no understanding of how a market functions, or there's a deal to continue to devalue currency. They're so far off of mandate of the original thing, but of course, in England they've been stealing since the 1600s, so it should be no surprise. But like everything else, it took a good scare to get the Fed, created in 1913. But here we are. So look, I don't know. I mean, look, what am I tell you? I think the market looks awful. I think the setup is awful. I can't find many good things to say right now. Okay. Now, where are we going? Well, look, I'm not going to make any massive predictions. Everybody knows what I've said repeatedly. Okay. Which is that I don't know when the major meltdown is coming, but you can bet your ass it's coming. Okay. And again, it might not be this might not be it. Remember, we do not try to predict when they come. We try to play the price action to put us in position when they do show up. Okay. So please remember that always, that our job is not to be a prophet and predict the next big move of the market. Our job is to play it as it happens. And, you know, there's so many that are so worried that they'll miss it. Listen, you'll never miss it. Just all you have to do, if you don't believe me, is go back in history and research. Okay, research some of the great meltdowns. They didn't go straight down. They didn't fall out of bed in one day. It wasn't a one-day event in any one of the cases. Okay, I could make the argument that the Christmas crash of 2018 and COVID were bigger than anything else from a speed and percentage, and they still didn't go straight down. So again, no matter what you think about the economy or the market, know one thing, that if you choose to be short the market when it's time to be short, you will have plenty of time to get there. Okay. The real problem is what? What is the real problem? Why do we have a problem from that point forward? Okay. Who creates the real problem? You do. We all do. And we, look, I can do notes for me, big boy. You didn't give me an answer. I asked, but maybe you weren't listening. Can you do notes? Because Connie can't make it. Thank you. Here's what happens. Okay. I'm gonna give you a description of the next big sell-off for anyone that happened in the past. Okay. So let's tie some of it into today, not today, but this recent period. And what my contention the last few weeks was that the rally that we were seeing, okay, that did trigger us to get long, was more based on retail trade, which is, you know, you and me, retail traders trying to buy. Maybe many people who didn't buy, you know, all along are now trying to get in because this is their dip to go ahead and buy. Okay, or any number of other reasons. Okay. But so what happens is you get the first sell-off and the dip buyers come in. So that's what I think we saw here. The dip buyers came in, but notice every day the volume continued to lag. Okay. And again, we don't do a lot of volume stuff, but when I'm trying to make this point, and to me, it looked very similar to the bond markets. Okay. When the bond markets were waiting, you know, we kept saying they're going to get creamed. They're going to get creamed, right? And we used pretty much the similar logic behind it, that the trade that was when it was railing was not participating. And then when they were ready, they were going to hammer it. And suddenly you see volume picked up and they hammered it, and they're not done yet. Now, again, is that going to be exactly the case? Well, I don't know exactly. But so what happens is now the selling begins and the dip buyers come in and they buy. Okay. And then you get a little bit of a pop and then they sell them again. You fail to reach a high and you start to make lower highs, which now tells you that you're in a downtrend. Okay. And then of course, the next dip buyers come in, and again, they cannot take out a high and they make another lower high. And of course, then you get that can't be right. And then you get the panic selling. I mean, obviously I've accelerated the way it happens, but that's what happens, which means that you have plenty of time to get out or get short. Okay. But if you're hedged, you don't have to worry about any of that. Okay. But you have plenty of time to get out or get short if you choose to do so. Again, that becomes you as an individual, not the market. We like to blame the market on it. Okay. But it's your own decisions that prevents you from getting through the hard times, because you keep trying to buy until you finally got to panic and puke it out. Okay. Not you, but you know what I'm saying? You get the picture. Okay. So that is what happens. Now, again, is it happening now? I don't know. I don't know yet. Okay. But I can tell you that there's been enough signals over the last 6 or 7 months, okay, that point to a major meltdown that's going to occur. Now, again, I can't tell you when. I wish I could. If I could, I'd share with you. Okay. But I can't tell you when. And I can tell you that if you try to get it early, okay, if you try to beat the crowd, so to speak, you'll more than likely end up in the crapper, okay, and get stuck, number one. And number two, you won't make the right decision. And number three, if you are right and you are close, you'll get out way before you should. Okay. And that's the problem with trying to guess. Found you certainly, I found your recent article like to your interview. What do you think about gold and miners? Well, we'll get there, but I like gold. I always like gold. Okay. For some reason, many people have a mental block when they come to reading. I mean, I leave the same paragraph in every day. Buy physical metals, trade the paper. I don't get it. But anyways, so, I mean, that's what you can expect. Okay. And again, if you go back to 08, okay, go back to 2008, if you can remember that. Okay. And remember, we had vicious rallies. As I told you, I told the story many times. I was going in for surgery. Okay. And the market was up about 1,000 points. I was short, and I said, well, do I want to cover before I go in surgery? I said, maybe I won't come out. I don't have to worry about it. So I decided to do nothing. And of course, by the time I got done with surgery, the market was down on the day. Okay. So, again, I want you to understand that is how markets work all the time, because there's always the constant battle between what they call the strong hands and the weak hands. What's up there, brother?
Hello there. What's up?
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So there's always a battle between the strong hands and the weak hands. Okay. And when whichever group finally takes hold of the market, okay, they have the ability to push a lot farther than you think. And of course, if it's a move higher and the most want to be short, they'll continue to sell into it and it'll continue to explode up their ass and they'll continue to go higher. The same on the downside. The buyers will try to step in because, again, when you're talking about retail trade, they don't really have a comprehension of the market. They hear the news guys saying, well, buy the dip, buy the dip. The stock market has a better yield than the 10-year note. Anything you want to pick out, you can pick it out. What do you think about that, sir?
A lot of volatility tomorrow coming our way. I will tell you that.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. I think.
Okay. I mean, it was pretty much straight down from when they opened last night. I mean, it wasn't like a.
I think Putin's. Well, I'm just talking about across all asset classes.
Right.
It's going to be crazy. Gold could be crazy. Stocks.
Yeah, gold's up today. I mean,
listen. He basically stuck up his middle finger at Joe Biden today.
Well, what do you think he was going to do?
Nah, nothing different.
Listen.
I did think
dealing with an imbecile.
I did think that there was a chance that he would hold off making comments until he met with him, but obviously that's not in the cards. So
no, listen,
that's
Putin has total control of what's going on. He's controlling the entire story, and we continue to spell it backwards. Okay. And there will be no war. There will be no Russian attack. I will continue to say that every week. Okay. And I'll bet on anybody who wants to bet, I'll bet on it. How's that? Okay.
Well, I do think what will happen is in these provinces, they'll invite some Russian military in, but I don't think there'll be widespread bombing and war and shock and awe type things. I don't think so. I think it'll be a very peaceful Russian occupation of these regions.
Well, I think they want them there because, listen, the Russians make more money than the Ukrainians. Okay. I mean,
yeah. The standard of living will rise. No.
I have some very good friends and some very good contacts, and believe it or not, Russia and Ukraine. Okay. And what they're telling me is that they are laughing at Biden. They're laughing at the United States, and there will be no attack. There will be no takeover. There'll be no invasion. Okay. And that most of what we're hearing is a bunch of bullshit. Okay. So again, you take that for what it's worth. That doesn't mean that they're right, but they are on the scene. So,
well, listen, I think that the Russian pro-Russian separatists are a lot stronger in those regions than the Ukrainian government. And I think that it's all, look, Europe will buckle like a shoe. Europe is not going to do anything. They're not going to do a thing. We're gonna spitfire here and put sanctions in, then shoot ourselves in our own feet. That's what we'll do.
Yeah, well,
That's what we're good at doing. That's what this administration is good at doing.
isn't that what we've done since this administration has taken over?
It'll be another. Listen, it's another in a long series of failures. Foreign policy, domestic policy. There's a lot of failures going on here.
My family in Germany says the same thing. Okay, well, again, that's what I'm looking. Again, I wouldn't say things if I didn't believe them, and I wouldn't say things. I wouldn't pass on false rumors if they were false, if I didn't believe what they were telling me. But I can see. I've seen this movie before, and I've seen these types of narratives before. Is shorting a logical move to make money on the S&P index because the stock ultimately will go down a minimum of 25 to 50 cents in 365 days from now? Well, first of all, nobody knows that the market's going down 25 to 50% in the next year. No, nobody knows it. Anybody who says they know that is full of crap and a liar. Okay, you agree with that, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Right. Okay.
the answer to that question is follow the trends. You know,
Right.
Be short, but be prepared for the trend to bend and get long at some point. And just
I just set out. I don't know if you were here yet. I just said that when it's time to get short on a bigger scale, you'll have plenty of time to do so. And the reason that most people are not prepared for it is because first they're too busy buying, and then they're too busy panicking and puking out without thinking that they could actually do something to protect themselves.
because most people are passive and they're static traders or investors, and they don't go with the flow. And if you're into dynamic and you follow the trends and you ignore the noise, then the prices tell you what to do, and that's it. And when the price tells you what to do, listen to the price.
Right. And in full disclosure, we're short all the indexes now. Okay. But that doesn't mean that that's going to last. That doesn't mean that we're going dramatically down
It doesn't
tomorrow.
mean that we might not be long by Friday. Who the hell knows?
Right. Exactly. We don't know. No, nobody knows 100% what is going to happen. I can give you all of the reasons. If I want to convince you, I can make a great case for either side of the market.
Right. Likewise. And by the way,
of course you could. Listen, you did that for a living. You knew what you were doing. And we're not here to convince you of anything.
Right. And the mistake with that statement is in 365 days. Forget that. Just follow the trends. Don't think about 365 days. Think about today and think about tomorrow. That's it.
Right. Exactly.
Live in the present, not in the past or in the future.
Doesn't it always start in the present? I mean,
it always starts in the present. And that's it. All that matters is the present.
So what's your take now on housing? Okay.
I mean, interest rates are going up. I think, maybe we'll have a scramble.
It'll be a last minute storm to buy because
they're afraid interest rates will go up. I mean, listen, a house on my block sold at a ridiculous number this weekend. So, it's very geographical. It's very, location. But, I could see a scramble before interest rates go up. Mortgage rates at 4%. If you think they're going to 6%, you might scramble to buy.
You know what? I got to tell you something. Now, I couldn't sell my house. I've kind of maybe sold it. I don't know yet. Okay. But I put offers on 4 homes at full offer and have not got one of them.
That's amazing. Right?
Yeah. Well, because under 500,000, over 500, they don't sell. Under 500, they're going. Even in Chicago, they're going flushing off the shelves.
Yeah, can you get double for your house in Vegas yet?
Yes, that I could probably get. Jeremy Grantham calling for 50% as we're in super bubble. Well, again, there's always going to be. Look, let's remember one very important fact, which ties right into hedging as well. Okay. Bear markets create the most vicious rallies that you'll ever see. And more often than not, they trap the average investor because they look so good that you got to chase them up. And then the next thing you know, they're lower than you started before. Okay.
Right.
This has been going on for thousands and thousands of years in any market.
Right. And to add to that, when you look back at it on the chart, it says, oh, that's very logical. It made lower highs and lower lows. But when you're living through it, those rallies seem vicious. So, you just have to put it all in perspective.
Right. And you have to understand, as Andy says regularly, you have to understand the trend that you're in. and play accordingly.
Live in the
Please.
present.
Well, right, but you're
Yeah.
playing that's what the current trend is the present.
Right, exactly. And don't think about 365 days from now. Don't think about 3 days from now.
I mean, I just did my hedging webinar on Saturday, and here's what I'll tell everybody. I'll tell you right now, I'll tell everybody here. Okay. Even if you don't become a member of the hedging, don't sell your stocks when the market tanks. Okay. Because it still comes back to time in versus timing. And you will underperform markets over history if you continue to try to pick tops and bottoms of the market. That's it. That's simple. Again, so I tell everybody, even though I have a product for sale, that look, if you're not going to become a member and learn how to do this, don't start liquidating equities. The only time you sell a stock is when the company itself has changed and become negative, like a General Electric or any company like that. Okay. Other than that, crazy reversals, well, no, they won't kill your account if you're set up properly and if you've made the money on the way down. Okay, again, you're looking at a short. We've been in, unfortunately, okay, we have been in a miserable sideways pattern for too long. Okay, this is too long. This is what happens. You get these wide sweeping consolidation patterns that are just enough to torture you and switch you. And they do exactly what I said they're going to do. And that's now when you get the real thing, when we get the real McCoy, and the next trend that holds to the downside will extend for an extended period of time. And you will not get ripped out back and forth. Okay. But we have not had a solid, legitimate trend in months, and in some cases, a year. Okay. That's why the consolidation is the worst pattern for anybody. So anyways.
Right. We haven't had it in the stock market, but we have had it in certain commodities. You look at oil, you look at coffee, you look at a lot of the commodities, you've had those long-term. So, the stock market will eventually gravitate towards that.
I mean, how long did beans sit at $5? Remember that? Were you trading them then?
Years.
I mean, beans were $5 at one time. There was a point in time when soybeans, not soybeans in general, but November soybeans never traded over $8.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, so
beans in the teens was a fantasy.
Yeah. Now it's going to be beans in the 20s.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Look, I think there's some real
coming of age. They're coming of age like a fine wine.
You know what? I think there's some real issues, as you know. We both understand the issues that farmers are going to face. And higher interest rates are if you think an enemy of your home, of buying a home is higher interest rates, try being a farmer who already pays probably 3 or 4 points over what you pay anyways.
And now is worried if they're going to get any fertilizer because of sanctions with Russia. We're just going to screw the farmer. We're going to keep screwing the farmers. You think fertilizer prices are not going through the roof?
Yeah.
We got another story. Urea, potash, nitrogen, all of this stuff, it's going way up.
Okay, so now that I got you wound up, what's your bitch?
Oh, yeah, I got a good one this week. Okay, and it's controversial, so, please bear with me a minute. So, Bob and I say every week, and we say it clearly, and we'll say it again this week, that we respect our military, we respect our police, our firefighters, and this defund the police thing and all of the negative stuff that's going on with police is leading to a crime wave like no tomorrow. I mean, I'm from New York City. This weekend, and my son travels the subway every day, 6 people were stabbed on the New York City subway. And why? Because people don't have respect for the police. They don't fear the police. They don't, the press assaults the police. The mainstream press assaults the police. Our congressional leaders assault the police. And I find it absolutely disgusting. So here's my equation, Bubba, and everyone out there. Resisting arrest, it's an equation. It's a mathematical equation.
Yeah.
Resisting arrest equals suicide. That's the bottom line. When a cop says to you, freeze, put your hands up, you don't give him lip. If you disagree with what the cop is doing, there's a remedy in court. If you can't afford it, there's legal aid. There's venues in our system. But when you go to pull a gun on a cop, when you take a swing at a cop, when you run away from a cop, It's suicide. You're committing suicide. And the bottom line is that if we want to live in anarchy, we could continue on this path. But if we want to live in a place where our family, our friends, ourselves are safe and secure, we have to respect our police. So again, resisting arrest equals suicide, and that's where it's got to stop. So we have to stop all this stuff.
Bullshit.
Disrespecting the police.
Let me ask you a question.
That's my bitch. I mean, that's the equation.
So what was controversial about that?
Well, it's controversial because I will tell you that there is half of this country that will call me a racist for saying that.
Well, they're stupid people that we can
Okay. So that's why it's controversial. But
can't fix stupid. Okay.
All of these, you have cops now doing time for doing their job. When a cop leaves their house in the morning, they kiss their wife, they kiss their children goodbye, and they don't know if they're coming back. And their families sit there and pray that they're coming back. And other men in blue are not going to knock on their door and tell them that some tragedy befell them during the day. And now that they have a family without a head. And that's for women cops are killed now and men cops are killed. So you have it on both sides.
I agree.
But the bottom line is you resist arrest. It's the same as committing suicide. And we have to send that message to everyone in this country.
I agree with you 100%. And now that was one of my big topics. So I talked about on Bubba's Bottom Line yesterday.
Okay.
So again, I'm in 100% agreement. I don't find it controversial at all. And anybody find it controversial is an idiot.
Well, right. But the point is that in this, in this environment, you say something like this, it's totally controversial. And you get called a racist for saying it. I'm not a racist. I love everyone. And you know what? I disrespect everyone. I don't care what color or what religion that wants to hurt other people. That's it. Finished.
Right. And also when President Biden got elected, you said, look, I'm not happy with the results of the election, but I will support the administration because I'm an American.
All right.
Okay.
And it's still, and you know what? As hard as it is, I'm an American. I don't like what we're doing with Russia. I think we're making a lot of calculated missteps here, tremendous missteps. Listen, Putin's an autocrat. There's no question about it. No question about it. Listen, historically, you could look back at this stuff. I said it last week. I'll say it again now. Bernie, who I don't like, who is a communist, basically said, look, if Mexico did a deal with Russia and China and started putting Russian troops and Chinese troops within their territory and, was threatening to join an alliance there, we'd probably put a lot of troops on the Mexican border. So, this is not, NATO has expanded. So, we shouldn't be shocked at what's going on here.
Listen, I'm with you 1,000% on that topic. I actually saw a video the other day, a real one from somebody who showed that where the walls are being built, that the gates are open.
You know what else is really interesting? That I saw something, and I don't know how true it is, but I saw something that, a lot of the Ukraine forces that are going to fight the Russians, there's a lot of white supremacist Nazi element in that.
I have no idea, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. So,
I'm
not thrilled about the whole thing.
No, look at the whole thing is terrible.
Mess.
The whole thing, and again, it's being spun, which I'll hear more about this later because it's just part of my topics. But it's being spun by this administration. I don't care if you're voting for him or not.
Who's the winner? Who's the winner?
Who's the winner?
Yeah, who's the winner?
Not us.
China.
Yeah, I know.
Hey,
China.
Divide and conquer. Divide and conquer. Divide Europe and conquer.
China, Europe, China, Saudi Arabia, OPEC, and Russia. Those are the winners.
Yeah, but China's the big winner.
And they're all laughing.
China doesn't have to do a thing. They're the big winner.
Right. And they're laughing their ass off, too.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. They're having the time of our lives as we continue to make stupid mistake after stupid mistake. And the way nothing has been handled with with diplomacy or with the way that it should have been handled, going back to immediately shutting down the oil wells when they took office. Okay. We couldn't provide what they want now anyway. So again, at what cost did we do this? COVID was handled horribly. Okay. The end of COVID was ended even worse. And then magically, was it last Tuesday? It was over.
Right, yeah, but it goes back further, Bubba. It goes back to, well, when Russia went into Crimea. It goes back before that. It goes back to when Russia started cooperating with OPEC. At that time, we could have, as the U.S., as a major oil producer, could have had some influence over there. We make very bad. The last couple of administrations, barring the last one, which I
Right.
think did things okay. The other administrations that made some terrible geopolitical mistakes, and we're paying for them large now, and we're going to continue to pay for them.
And it's always about the money.
Yeah.
Nobody
And
cares.
you know what? I mean, we're not going to, there isn't going to be, well, I agree with you. There isn't going to be a wide scale war, but I will tell you, sanctions will lead to cyber problems and hacking and all kinds of issues here that we haven't experienced, that we're going to experience. So be prepared. Be prepared.
I mean, but we're creating those issues. That's my point.
We planted the seeds that are growing into these issues.
And that's that, and therein lies the bigger issue, that we created the mess and continue to tell the same story, which is not correct. And this goes back to everything that you can see, which is going to have in my opinion, a devastating effect on this country. Okay, if it not already done so. But I mean, again, you go back from where you start out with your bitch, the crime element, which they're allowing like it was nothing. Okay, to the way that they're handling some of the foreign affairs. Basically, they're handling it by saying, okay, here, come on in, take whatever you want. We're open, steal it, have it, strip us of everything. That's basically, to me, what they're saying. Okay, and I'm not happy about it. What do you say, Ash? Okay.
You think if a supermarket, people started walking into a supermarket in Moscow or Beijing and they started just taking things and
Yeah,
what do you think
right?
would happen? I mean, Trump, a lot of people hated him, but they live by his principle: when the looting starts, the shooting starts.
Right. Well, and he's right. Look,
Yeah.
you could hate him, you could like him, whichever side you're on, doesn't matter. The bottom line is, while he was in office, oil prices were cheap, inflation was low, and our key enemies, China, Russia, and Saudi Arabia, were under control.
This would not be happening.
What's that, babe?
This would not be happening.
No, are you kidding me? It wouldn't even have got close to this to begin with.
No.
So
it would have been behind the scenes. He would have been.
The West is destroying itself. Crime is listen, the crime is out of control everywhere because they allow it, because they wanted to fund the police. Pretty soon they'll be talking about defunding the military. Oh, that'll be fun. Anyways, so as we look at the effect that it's had on markets, and with all the stuff that's going on, and we look at the dollar, Andy, it's just stuck in a train. Again, we know that it's not that volatile a product anyways.
It's a mirage. It's a mirage. It doesn't mean anything. Measure it against gold. It's going down.
Right. And again, the problem with the fiat currency system, as we have said many, many times, is that they continue to try to devalue what they have. They have an agenda down the road, and it's their way of trying to hide bullshit debt and all kinds of stuff. But for you, Ken, the bottom line is that our levels here are 95.50 to 96.50, which is basically the same level I gave Connie last week, and she's here. Hi, Connie, but you got to take the note. She's in her car. But in the meantime, we are short dollars, and again, unless there is some major fear, and if Andy's right about what's going to be happening tomorrow, you might see the dollar pop a little bit, because that is, for now, still one of the good fear assets that countries run to. Not just people, but countries run to it. Okay. Smaller countries, when they got problems, when they sniff trouble, they buy US dollars.
Unless you're El Salvador, they buy Bitcoin.
Well, that's true. And there's a lot more of that going on too.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, 95.
They're also, by the way, they're also buying gold. The central bank gold, government gold buying has been up.
Gold has been taking off nicely, as we talked about, right? Yeah. We'll get there. The euro currency, again, obviously it's the exact opposite of the dollar almost, because it's such a huge percentage, 50, 55, 50, whatever he tells me every week. I never remember 56.2, whatever.
57.6.
Okay. Well, I was like, I'm dyslexic. In the meantime, again, we were long, we just reversed to short today. Okay. And actually, because it was open today to trade to short if you wanted to, that was up to you, but we did. Okay. You know, the markets were open electronically today. Now, just remember that all this data from today, okay, will go on tomorrow's numbers. Okay. So tomorrow's numbers, volume wise, for sure, will be a little bit inflated than normal because you're getting the holiday trade that was today. That's, I think this will probably say, I bet you it says, what's tomorrow, 22nd?
Yeah, it says on my charts.
Yeah, February 22nd.
Yeah.
That's what it already says.
Yeah.
So you just know that, okay? And traders, you know, option, you know, portfolio people, there'll be no update tomorrow because tomorrow's really like Monday as far as we're concerned. There'll be no changes tonight, no matter what, okay? The markets weren't signaled as being open today. And speaking of that, why couldn't President's Day been last Monday? Does it really matter? Are the two dates not the 12th and the 14th anyways for Washington and Lincoln?
Tomorrow is Washington's birthday. I think it's tomorrow.
Right, but this is I think it wasn't this for Washington and Lincoln, or
they combined them.
Huh?
They combined them.
Right. So why can't they just make some money after the Super Bowl? Does it matter what day in February?
Next year it'll be Che Guevara and Fidel Castro's birthday instead.
Anyways, so here we're looking at, first of all, now we're for sure not buyers. I would say that, you know, 114, I'd love to be a seller. Okay. And I think you'll see some support. You might see it tomorrow, you know, right around here, 113 and change. But certainly you got room to go all the way down to the under 112 again. Okay. And Bitcoin, yeah, listen, you know, it had a nice pop from support and then it's gone straight to the toilet. Okay. Not a surprise. I mean, you know, this will be either a consolidation pattern, okay, and it will stop somewhere, you know, probably no more than 35,000 or so, but I mean, it could go a little lower, but again, somewhere, if I could look at it, it's either going to be a consolidation pattern that will re-pop up again, or you could see some continued selling.
I've been thinking about this. I think that those cryptos might be afraid of a all out kind of hacking festival because of this Russian thing.
Well, it could be.
And I think that could be weighing on this here. I mean, we'll see, but I think there's a lot of fear of that because listen, the Russians, the Chinese, the North Koreans, the Iranians, they're all really good at hacking.
TD, what did he say? What did Majad Nawaz with Rogan? What did he say? Do you know? Give me a quick synopsis because I didn't hear it. But in the meantime, right now, if I'm looking at this, A, okay, we're long Bitcoin. Okay. B, I would say, you know, 35,000 to 45,000. Now, again, you can say it's a wide range, but you can see that that's the kind of the range it trades in. That's the kind of way it moves. Okay. So in the meantime, you know, 35 to 45, I would assume that, you know, if it continues selling, it will probably get short here soon. We were short all the way down, you know, once it broke down originally, and then we got long a couple of weeks ago. So we'll see. The bond market, you know, as we said last week, there'll probably be some sort of a little bit of a bounce. And sure enough, look what happened. 151, and now we're back at 154, and we're short and sell, Wilson, sell.
That's 136.16.
Right. 130. What does that make at 136? What does that make interest rates? You know? I don't know.
On the 30 year. Well, what is the 30 year today?
Hold on. I'll give you the exact number right now. I'll give it to you up to date. I'll give it to you up to date at the moment.
I don't want to give bad information.
Right. I'm going to give it to you up to date at the moment right now.
It's about 1% or 1.25% higher.
Okay. So the 30 year, I mean, the 10 year right now, I mean, the 30 right now is 2.25. The 10
is so I think it's about 3.25, 3.5, somewhere in that zone.
Okay.
By the way, that's still too low.
No, of course it's too low. It's still nominally negative.
Where's inflation? 15%? Okay. That's about the right one. That puts the bond at about 40.
Okay. And it's funny, you know, we take this every week. A couple of years ago, whatever it was, however, they didn't need the 30 year anymore. Now they need 100 year. In the meantime, we're still short. And again, 154, 153.5, whatever. I'd be a seller just about anywhere. Okay.
Yeah, selling on rallies in the bond market makes total sense. And you know what? You might get some, you're getting some nice rallies courtesy of Mr. Putin here.
Right. Exactly. Anyways, gold. And
I would
again,
think, by the way, I would think the Chinese will be lightening up on the rallies.
it could be.
Yeah.
Gold. Look, we said it was going to make a big move. We said we thought it was going to be higher, and there it is. It's now higher.
Wedge pattern since for a year, gave way, broke out to the upside, and now you gotta love it.
Now, in your mind, is 19 like the new pivot point right now? 1900?
I want to reserve judgment for tomorrow. I expect gold to blast. I think gold's
Okay.
gonna blast.
All right. I mean, it was lower this morning, and then it popped, and it closed up.
It feels blastable here.
Okay. Okay, I don't know.
Could
I don't.
1900 develop into the new pivot point? Absolutely. Listen,
I think that's the key, the number to watch. As long as it's above, I think it's going. Listen, I think there's a chance. And again, this is not tomorrow. There's a lot of levels to go through, but I believe that if this rally is real, which I believe it to be for now, that we could get to the all-time highs. But again, you'll have resistance at 1920,
strong support at 1880, Bubba. I
So-
think strong support at 1880.
But for today, 1880, okay, to 1920, okay,
Yeah.
and if Andy thinks it'll probably be 1920 tomorrow, so we'll see.
Right. It should be wide here. It should be wide.
We're long, so we'll see what
It
happens.
should be wide. But you know what? It's going to be gold's going to move on political news. It's going to be, there's a couple to watch here. Watch oil, watch gold, watch wheat.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, 1880, 1920, we're long, and we're only looking for spots to buy. And what you must remember again, listen, the spike, right? We said this here, and you got some consolidation. I'm telling you the same thing here. The speed at which this is going up is way too fast. Okay. That is not what you really want if you really want a much bigger rally. But again, you could see a spike, but you can bet that as a day trader, I would probably sell that spike as a day trader. Okay. I'm not giving up my long position. I'm not giving up my physical metals, but as a trader, I think I try to scalp that because again, I know that these levels, they can't go straight up or straight down. There's going to be a point where there's going to be some equilibrium and there's going to be some reversion, even if the trend is the other side. Doesn't matter. Okay. In the meantime, 1880, 1920, and silver continues to fight for that $24. Okay. Now, actually, silver looks the best of the bunch, Andy.
Yeah, silver. Listen, silver's going to make a move eventually, but silver has been very under control, very quiet. And just think back to what silver did in 2020, March 2020. All of a sudden, it was below $12, made like a decade low, and then turned around and doubled. Silver's wild,
Right. But I mean,
silver's cooking.
From a straight technical pattern, this has not been anywhere near as steep on the way up.
Right.
Which means that A, you could see a spike bigger, and B, if it stays kind of like it is, the rally will be more powerful because what happens when you get these markets moving without all the jittery ups and downs, okay, you get a much stronger move because it builds much more momentum as it rolls. So in the meantime, 24 is a little bit of resistance. It's also a key point, but we're long, and I would say 24.75 would be the next target.
Right. And silver is a trend following metal. And I would say that you're not going to get the speculative community really interested in silver until you see the price above 25.5 bucks.
I agree. And
it's just handed out too much pain,
Right. And 23.50 as support. Okay. Platinum, which tried to get through 1100, failed. But again, very similar to gold. The parabolic up was a little bit too sharp. So what are we doing? We're consolidating, which means they're going sideways, which means that now we don't trade this anymore because it's not liquid enough for us, but we would be long if we did. And of course, Andy and I always think it's on sale, even as they continue to take it lower. But again, I would use 1060 as a point to enter if I was looking to enter. But again, we don't use it because it's just not liquid if we're using it. So, but for yourself, 1060 as a potential buy spot, maybe even 1070. I think you're already seeing that there is some resistance at 1100. Okay, now what's going on with palladium in comparison to platinum, and what's the relationship like now?
Very volatile, very. Today it's around 2380, a little higher than that. it's a huge premium, over $1,200 premium, but
Okay.
it's all about Russia. I mean, listen, sanctions on Russia. Russia's going to say, okay, you can't have any more palladium, you can't have any more nickel. These are oil is a problem, and natural gas for Europe is a problem. So all these markets are in political hypersphere play here, and expect wild price swings, wild. So palladium, hey, it's doing what it should be doing. It's 23.80. Still almost $800 below the all-time high from last May.
And how do you rate the chip shortage right now? That was kind of your idea.
Say, yeah, that's what I thought, that was easing. But I will say that if we're going to have this geopolitical tension, it's going to affect insurance rates on the high seas, which is going to keep the bottlenecks going past the pandemic. Because listen, freight rates are going to go up, because insurance is going to go up, because insurance companies, listen, the airlines are not flying into Ukraine, and people are going to be worried about all kinds of nonsense going on the high seas with, tankers and freight and all that kind of stuff. Insurance goes up and it costs more, and it's going to cause bottlenecks.
Okay. Well, again, I'm with you. That's why I'm asking, because that's kind of the way you follow it.
I thought palladium at first, but really palladium had been a barometer for Russia, I think.
And copper, which we're long. And again, this pattern, this is a pattern that makes you want to jump off of a building.
Yeah, it's going nowhere fast, Bubba.
I mean, this is the perfect example of what I talked about when somebody asked me about the sharp rallies. This makes moves, but it just moves far enough to spin, and then it goes the other way. And
copper doesn't like to rally when the stock market is falling,
The only thing I can tell you from this pattern, okay, is when it does break out and the odds are getting more and more favorable of an upward breakout, okay, it's going to be huge. Okay, that's all I can say.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your target? What was your next thing you said?
Oh, my target $5. You got
my. No, but I mean, I thought you had
my target is 480. But
but I mean, I thought you had an ultimate number, kind of
680. 680.
Okay, that's again,
$15,000 a pound.
We ain't getting there tomorrow, and that's not how it trades. But I'm just. I'm trying to give both perspectives, from how I would look at it from a technical.
Yeah, I think that this thing goes 50% higher when the bull market is all said and done.
Okay. Again, so we're still long, 443, 456, 457. But again, it's just it's like built-in torment.
Yeah,
it's like putting in a torture chamber.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we have had a couple of days where we had like 15, 20 cent moves.
No, I know. And you would just assume they might continue, but they don't. Corn, the grain markets look phenomenal. Okay.
They look incredible.
I mean, look, we said this last week when they were down on the support. I said, look, it's probably a great buying opportunity. This market looks unbelievable. And I get news for you. And this is not good news. This is bad news. But the news is that there's, between some of the events going on around the globe, not just political, but through some of the weather, there's already starting to be some supply issues, the supply chain. And if interest rates go too high, I think there's some farmers that aren't going to be able to plant this year.
It's a perfect bullish storm for this stuff. So you have inflation, you have rising fertilizer prices, you have rising energy prices, which is for ethanol and for soybeans, for diesel. You have all these things. It's like everything points higher here. It's scary. Right. And the farmers, they needed it even higher than here to get the same kind of earnings as last year, because their costs are through the roof. That's if they can even get people to work.
Well, I think that next year, based on current prices, depending on production, but if it's at normal production, they're going to have to be. Their input's going to be a little over $5. Okay.
I think.
Okay, but in the meantime,
a good chance of seeing a new all-time high in corn this year. What is it, about 843 3/4?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think.
Way back when, something right.
2012.
Yep.
Yeah, look, I think you've got a good chance of seeing.
Here's the bottom line when you look at this chart. Okay. This is, forget about what the product we're watching right now. This is about as perfect of a bull market as you
can. It is.
The technical, every technical aspect is met as if it was written in the book ahead of time.
Right. Back and fill, right?
You and I are the only guys who use those terms. Back and fill.
That's because we're old.
Okay. 640, 660 is a little resistance, but again, we're long. I expect it to go much higher. Okay. The beans, look at this. Now, again, we talked about this about 10 times already today and last week, but here you had this too parabolic of a spike. Okay. So the beans had to resolve themselves by consolidating for a number of days, and they have done that. And now they're peaking their head above and I don't think 17 in a very short period of time is a stretch. What do you think?
No, I think this also new all-time highs. So 13 was a pivot point, then 14 was a pivot point, then 15 was a pivot point. Now 16 is a pivot point.
I mean, again,
what does that tell you?
Look, it looks great. It came out of the bottoms and is done. And every time it's gotten too far ahead of itself, it has done the work it needs to do to get it back on track.
The South American crop was crap.
Right.
And by the way,
it's crap anyways, but it was really crap this year.
Right. But you're coming into the time of the year where uncertainty is peaking and China can't get enough soybeans. And PS, we're making more, because of oil prices, the biodiesel demand is going up. Cooking oil demand is going up. It's just all bullish here.
1575. Probably 16 and a quarter would be the first resistance. But again, I'm not a seller. We're long.
Yeah, 1633 is the resistance.
There you go. There's my math man. I just look at the chart, but he's telling me. So there you go. 1625, 1575, 1625.
Yeah.
Okay. And certainly if you go below, if you get down to 1560, buy it. Okay. But again, understand how it's getting there, just not arbitrarily buy it. You got to look at it. We continue to consolidation
commodity.
And we're still, this is the one we're short. Okay. Now, at the end of the day, Andy has told us many times it's a political commodity. Why, if some things are so bad there, why is wheat not going up?
Wheat is sitting around $8, Bob.
Right.
It's consolidating very nicely. It's waiting to see. It's waiting to see, in my opinion. Listen, the Black Sea ports are huge for wheat. It's the biggest. Russia's the biggest exporter. If there is a lot of military action in that region, the crop is not going to be good this year.
Well, so I'm asking you. So if the markets assume that to be the case, would this not be higher now?
It's sitting here. It's sitting around $8.
Right, but I mean,
over the last couple of years.
Don't you think they'd be panicking early as usual?
Well, I see a little bit of panic in the Kansas City, Chicago wheat spread, which is up to around 30 cents.
Right, but those are.
But I don't think there's true panic, until we get through a new high. Then you'll see that spread blow out to $1, and then you'll see, a lot of action in the wheat.
I mean, Minneapolis, Kansas City wheat, they're so damn illiquid, it's hard to really get a real true read.
I understand, but listen, I did a lot of consulting for companies that use wheat.
I know,
and they all price off Kansas City. So they run to that Kansas City. And that's where I kind of gauge their hedging, the consumer hedging in the US.
Right.
Listen, it's moved from a 40-cent discount to a 30-cent premium, which means they're active, but they ain't panicking yet. Okay. I think they will panic. I think they will panic on the back of what's going on here, possibly.
Okay, I'm just going to switch to this chart just for the minute because it gives you a much better accurate read on the meats. Live cattle.
By the way, the hogs, baby. Oof.
What are we in, June or April?
I'd still look at April.
Okay, J 22. I can't type now. What did I do wrong now? Yeah.
Look right to me.
I know. Sometimes I wonder about myself. Hold on. I get it. There's the April contract rate. Okay.
Consolidating.
Perfectly nice. Again, same story. Too fast up, consolidate, look for a move to break higher. Now again, they're getting closer. They're not there yet, but they're getting closer to a point that they're going to be outpriced. And I think the biggest negative factor for cattle today, well, there's a lot of them, but the biggest negative factor will be if prices and everything else continue to rise at the dramatic rate but we're rising, if inflation continues to explode, then people are going to be switching to the other white meat and to other things that are less expensive than beef itself. But this chart looks great. It's doing exactly what it should do. We are long. I look for higher prices.
Well, you're 100% right, because I follow the live cattle lean hog spread, and it's dropped from, for a long time, beef was much more expensive than hogs.
100%.
It dropped down now to below 140 on the April contracts, which tells us that the pork is much more is getting.
It's funny. We caught that back in December.
Yep.
And we said, geez, I've never seen December hogs at this price before.
Yep. And they keep going.
And feeder cattle, okay, again, very similar, too fast up, having a little resolution. Now they can go higher. Listen, nobody knows what the tops can be, okay? But I will say this, back in, whenever they were at 245 or 240, I told on TV, I said, sell, sell, sell. I didn't care about anything at that point because you could see that there was issues. Okay, but now there's plenty of room to go higher. The biggest problem, in my opinion, is going to be now, first of all, the cost for a farmer to feed these things to get them up to live cattle, which is going to be no picnic. Okay. And again,
you're going to see them sending them into processing plants at a lot lower weights here.
And again, then if you can get the processing plants to work, and if you can get them, there's so many issues in this. But in the meantime, we're bullish, we're long, and hogs again. The hogs are and not only are hogs at unbelievable prices. Actually, I want to do this first. Not only are they at high prices, but they are in one of the best contango patterns going through June.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, almost 120 for June hogs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So look, they're going higher, and this gap is just because it's a rollover from one month to the other. In case you're wondering why, and I'll put up the right chart right now so you can see it. Okay, there you go. So this is the actual chart of the April hogs, and again, support was at 100, popped up beautifully. Now making new highs. 108 would probably be some support.
Like I said, the nominal prices that corn, that live cattle hog spread that I watch, dipped down below the historical norm, went down at the 133 area. And, that tells me, hey, people are buying a lot more pork now. And Bubba's right. They're rejecting beef for pork, but that's getting down to a level where, it's getting a little crazy.
Right. So look, again, people would think naturally sell, but, I would just say that
I think that might even correct itself by both of them continuing to rally and just the beef,
right,
making another leg up.
And $8 corn would be a huge problem for feeder cattle. Is right, Mr. My buddy. How your boys, by the way? How they doing in the military out there? But again, the biggest story here is really that never think price is too high or too low. In commodities, you can get away with the too low sometimes, but too high, these things can go bonkers.
Whenever you feel the price is too high, take a deep breath, stand up, shake your head, and think about what the purchasing power of your dollar is. And that will bring it back to perspective.
Good report from a Dr. Yahoo. You mean Yahoo the website or Yahoo the soda, the chocolate milk? All right. Crude oil, again, shocking. It was down a couple of days last week. It looked like it was on the way, as Andy will call it, on the way on the elevator. And suddenly, it found support, and bang, here we are back up, approaching the highs. And
you had a triple. You had the third time. Biden asked OPEC again. He called up the king of Saudi Arabia. He said, "Can you please increase pumping oil?" He says, "Mr. President, with all due respect, no."
Right.
That's three. And in baseball, 3 strikes, you're out.
You know when they'll start increasing? They'll start increasing production when we get into the driving season.
Yeah, when the price is 150.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay.
They'll say, demand is robust.
No, good for you. Good for you, my dear. Thank you. I wasn't sure what you were talking about. I'm thrilled. I am thrilled too for you.
That's great. That's great.
In the meantime, again, I'm still saying 90. And again, 90. I think even potentially, again, this will depend on a lot of this political rhetoric that goes on. You could see 100 by next week.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to predict that.
Listen, but it's prices like that, Bubba, they're like magnets. They're like psychological magnets.
Oh, yeah, no, 100%.
This wants to do that. Now, there's absolutely, on the long-term chart, no technical basis for 100. Really, the technical level's like 107.73 to be exact.
Right.
But, the bottom line is that these levels are like psychological magnets.
All numbers become an issue, which is like typically if they get there, they pop through real quick and then they come back. Why they pop through real quick? Because all the people that don't understand what's going to happen have their stops just above that level, and those market makers know, and they're going to run those stops just like we did. I always did when I was on the floor. That's what they do. They get to a certain number because we know there's a bunch of stops sitting up there, and we're going to run them all out.
The risk of a correction is rising with the price in this thing, and corrections in oil are nasty. We fell from 85 to 63 from late October till early December. The bottom line is to put up the 8th straight quarterly gain. All that oil has to do is close above 75 and change at the end of March. And we're like $20 above there. So you just got to be very cautious in this market here.
And we're still long. I've been long for a long time. In the meantime, natural gas, I don't know. This is another, after the big pop that we had received, and then which we were long for, and after the big sell-off, which we did well. Now we're in this the torments. The torments of
is a problem.
There's a consolidating market, which is just brutal. What is buoying the price here in your opinion? I know we're looking at the chart.
I think that the U.S. administration is trying to get shipments of LNG diverted from Asia to Europe to take the pressure off the Russian situation. I think that, all of this crap with the fracking laws and the banning and all this stuff is weighing on supplies. Let me just dig out my last EIA numbers. We are 11.6% in stocks below the 5-year average, almost 18% below last year. We're coming into the injection season, but we ain't producing like we used to.
Right.
Look, I said this when Biden was elected and the price was below $3. I said, you got to expect higher lows in natural gas.
Yes, you did.
Now, in June 2020, the price got down to 144, below 144. We ain't going back there. But this is a wild market. This thing is going to swing. This thing carries out more people with nothing on their back but their skin. You got to be careful here. You got to have a plan, risk reward. You got to be careful. You got to have wide ranges for profits and losses. It's a very dangerous market. But hey, big volatility, big opportunity.
Right. Oh, actually, I'll give you. I don't usually give up. I don't know if I give them for this or not. But anyways, $4.40 to $5. Okay, $4.40 to $5, Kenny. Cocoa. Well, we're short cocoa, and it's headed back south again. Okay. Again,
got a whole 24.40.
It had a huge. What did you say? 24.40.
I said it's got a whole 24.40. There's still the pattern is higher lows and higher highs.
Right.
But it's got a whole 24.40.
And this is.
I think it will.
I don't disagree with it. This is a perfect example of a daily blow-off pattern. Okay, and this is for you guys who trade with me in the morning. This is what we want to see when we're trading on 4 minutes. The V right off the volume immediately goes straight down, and that's what you see here. Now, I would say that the first big level here is right here, like about $26. Okay, and if it breaks through 26, it could get ugly. Now, this was too fast up and too fast down. The difference. Go ahead.
Oh, I just coughed. No, all I'm saying is, listen, cocoa tends to, the moves tend to be pretty big on a percentage basis. You just went through the March-May roll, which I attribute a lot of this selling to. I think that, we could stop around the 2,500 level and it would just look like a continuation of this chart pattern. Cocoa moves big when it moves.
Right, because it's thinly traded and they run by the same criminals that run the beef.
Exactly. I mean, it's run by the chocolate companies.
Anyways, the biggest point I can make to you here is that we're short, but number one. Number two, the spike on the way up is not seeing the same type of volume on the way down, which indicates there's probably more room on the downside. However, even if it's going lower, which we expect it to as of right now, I would expect it to find a spot and consolidate before continuing the move lower.
Yeah, it's also a very fictitious price, Bubba, because there's a $400 surcharge on Ivory Coast and Ghana cocoa that they're putting on there for sustainability and to fight child labor in Africa. So when you see the price at 2,600, the Ivorians and the Ghanese are getting $3,000 a ton. So the chocolate companies try to push the price down to get what they're paying down as much as possible.
Gotcha. And cotton, look, it came right down to support. It still looks good. And not a,
I mean, well, $1.20 a pound. Why?
yeah,
Right?
exactly. We're still long and it still looks good. I mean, to
Still
me,
looks good.
you're looking at,
I'd like to see it consolidate.
you're looking at 120 to 125, maybe higher.
This puppy tends to peak on the year in May and June. So we'll
And
see.
this is a wild one too. This trades like an animal. When it gets going, and look what happened, right from this little tight consolidation, you got an huge explosion.
Right.
Okay. From this little consolidation, you got to break to the downside. So now you're at the key moment of truth right here. It should pop based on the trend. Okay, and at least test the upper end again. We'll see. In the meantime, 120 to 125, Kenny. Sugar, Sierra Bravo,
Nothing.
in horrible
Crap.
consolidation. Okay. We're still short. Okay. Again, this is interesting where it's trading. It's consolidating below resistance, which would indicate that there's a better than even money chance it's going to continue to break to the downside. However, we don't know that, and we can't make that statement with absolute certainty, because I could make a case that this might have found a bottom here. So we'll see.
1820 is exactly double what it was at the low in March 2020 when it traded at 905. So oil supports it. The Brazilian real has been rallying, that supports it, but it's just consolidating here. It looks bearish. It's a bearish trend, no question about it. After we traded above 20 cents, but sugar's a pretty liquid commodity, and it could get interesting.
Yeah, we'll see. We're still short, and again, we're not afraid to reverse if we have to. And OJ, as we said, continues to go lower. And again, not that it should be any surprise, because
It went too high. That's why it's going down.
Exactly. You had that overbought situation. And again, this is the same as the movie Trading Places. They kept buying it like they're giving it away. And you know what? They're giving it away now.
Right.
In the meantime,
so the midpoint of the move from November up to January high is about 140. So we're a little bit below there. It's probably a good area for it to start between the 120 and 130 to consolidate. We'll see what happens. But you've got to be shorted, no question.
Right. In the meantime, 130 to 137 and a half or so. And again,
in my technical, we were long the OJ. We took profits, and then now total sidelines. I don't want to touch this thing.
It moves very quickly when it moves in both directions.
Right. And the only reason I bought it back in November was seasonality one. And it was, I was watching what was going on in the other softs. And I said, hey, this one's going to follow. That's it.
Coffee. Look, this looks almost like corn.
Healthy. Looks healthy.
What's that, baby?
When it looks healthy, when you have a supply problem in Brazil caused by a frost that wipes out a crop, it's the gift that keeps on giving. It's not like it's going to turn around next week and all of a sudden they're going to find all these Arabica beans. The bottom line is, look, the risk of correction rises with the price. So at 260, hey, a little bit overdone. This thing has lots of room to continue to correct, but I still think it's on its way to $3.
Right. I agree. Look at, again, we'll see. But in the meantime, we're long. And I think 246, 245 is great support. And certainly I think we'll test the 260 again. Now the question will break out, but overall, this looks very bullish. Okay. So we'll continue to obviously be long lumber, which we don't trade. It had, out of the last 15 days, there was, I think, 9 limit days. Look, this is
it's like, if you're long and the market's going down, you can't get a bid to get out. And if you're short and the market's going up, you can't get an offer to get out. And why the hell would you want to trade this thing?
All this is just a bellwether we look at based on the economy.
By the way, the benchmark is telling us that inflation's screaming because it's $1,200 per 1,000 board feet. What are you looking at, July there? And I'm looking at March, 1,270 on the March. Come on, these are crazy prices.
Right, but how about when they were at 18?
Well, that was brief. It's still crazy. By the way, before 2018, the highest price ever was $493.50.
Right, exactly. So
inflation, the Canadian trucker strike, mill problems, inflation, it all adds up, and it makes the price. By the way, the prices. Remember when it was $448 in August?
Yeah,
oh God, right?
We talked about it, and you said that you thought that was bottoming right there. So yes, I do remember specifically.
No, I'm just saying. I'm not saying it from that. I'm just saying, look, we've over doubled from there. It's amazing.
Almost tripled.
Right. So,
Anyways.
now 1,000 moved back down to 1,000. Would that shock you? No, it's by the way, 1,000. What is that? 3 limit down days, right?
Right.
Okay.
Is there any last minute thoughts you have for the pregame, sir?
Just be very careful here tomorrow and the rest of the week, and ignore the noise, watch the price trends. And as we said last week, watch your leverage and widen out your risk reward profile, because markets are going to be volatile, and you have to adjust your expectations to match the price variance.
Let's see. Cash lumber hovering at all-time highs. Yes, it's funny. I know a lot of guys in the timber business. Okay, so I knew that. And homeowner insurance went up. Everything's going up, kid.
Yeah. By the way, the home, the price of an average home, construction, the lumber move costs an additional $19,000 for an average size new home, which I assume is about 2,500 square feet.
Kill me. All right, we're going to stop this recording and come back with the regular Monday call. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here. Just let me stop this. Let my girlfriend speak to me. Hi, honey. Thank you, darling. Okay, let me just put this up. Nice slide stuff. All right, here we go. And rolling. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard. It is a President's Day Monday, which really should be the day after the Super Bowl, but I can talk till I'm blue in the face. They're too dumb to fix that too. I mean, what difference does it make? But at the end of the day, now we have 2 minutes in a row with no productivity. But of course, we hear talk about a more hawkish Fed. What do you think? Is there going to be more hawkish?
What's the next frame in that cartoon? Is he like on the floor, splattered at the bottom?
He should be. And of course, I've been railing about this for a while, and it's 275 at Build Back Better, and look at the shelves, right? Okay. And again, this is obviously a spoof on Groundhog Day and whatever with Bill Murray. But interestingly enough, today I had to go grocery shopping. I don't normally go grocery shopping, but I'm alone and I needed groceries. Okay. So I went to Albertsons, which is obviously a big chain on the West Coast. And I started taking some pictures. I go, geez, I'll run out of room on my phone if I keep taking pictures of everything. Okay. So I found a manager. Okay. And I talked with her for about 15 minutes. And they tell me they can't get goods. That's why their shelves are emptying. Okay. I said, you guys restocking, or you just can't get? We can't get. Water aisle was half empty. Okay. And then I ran into a vendor. A lot of the grocery stores have vendors that do the refilling, right? They do the refilling, restocking, they rent the space. And I was talking to the vendor, he says, we can't get enough. Can't get goods. Okay. Now, I don't even think we've seen the true panic from people who start hoarding everything. Okay. But these are from today. Okay. Albertsons in Las Vegas on Charleston. Okay. And I've said this every week, but I just decided today to take pictures of it. Okay.
It's interesting. But if you go to Costco, they're pretty well stocked.
Right. But they'll start running out too eventually. Remember, you're buying warehouse stuff there, first of all, but this is going to play all the way back, won't it?
Yeah.
Okay. And of course, next hedging class starts on March 8th, and we offered 2 programs, either regular or light. Okay. But again, hey, you want to hedge, don't hedge. I don't care what you do. I'm just telling you what's better for you. Okay. You got 2 choices. Just stay in and suffer when it goes up and down, which is fine. You'll do better than trying to get out, or benefit from the down move and accumulate more. That's up to you. In the meantime, I put this clip in the chat room today, but these are 3 quotes I picked off of from Thomas Jefferson, and a video I sent today made the case for him to be the smartest man in history. Okay?
It's funny. I wrote an article this morning, Boba, and I put a Jefferson quote in it. And I didn't even know you did that. That's funny.
It's funny because
it was actually the article's about Binance buying Forbes, investing in Forbes. And it was about the free press. And I used the Jefferson quote.
Yeah. Oil more than doubled, and there are supply chains to go figure. Well, listen, again, the biggest problem is the lack of work, the lack of workers, because of what the perks that they got and the stimulus they got and all. Who knows what's going on? I don't even want to get into it. It is incumbent on every generation to pay its own debts as it goes. A principle which, if acted on, would save 1/2 the wars of the world. Okay. The strongest reason for the people to retain the right to keep and bear arms is at last resort to protect themselves against tyranny and government. Okay. And last, the democracy will cease to exist when you take away from those who are willing to work and give to those who would not. How about that? Is that not similar to what's going on right now?
It's very similar. Those founding fathers are rolling. They're not even rolling, they're spinning.
I mean, it is a tragedy what happened, what's going on here. In the meantime, as Andy said earlier, but we can say it again, all of our public servants, military, police, fire, all of you, okay, thank you. Look, again, and believe me, I have great pity for you right now because you're getting no respect from anybody, okay? And to me, that's a bigger tragedy, okay? And that's going to be there's going to be some real tragedies if they allow this to continue. And again,
I just want to repeat my equation for anyone who wasn't.
Please do.
In my opinion, the equation is when you resist arrest, that equals suicide.
And no question about it. And it is as sad as can possibly be, sir. And again, you know how you and I both think, and we've always thought that way about our military, whether we get a ticket or not, whatever. They're nothing better than having them around. And of course, they're allowing me to mouth off the way that I do. Okay. But in the meantime, thank you. We appreciate you. Again, I don't care what you read in the papers. I know that at least two people, actually I know a lot of people, but we respect and wish there were more law and order in this country. Okay. So as I get into my thoughts, and of course, soaring rents eat Americans' wage increases and then some. Well, again, what did you think was going to happen? Wages can never keep up with moronic inflation. It is a mathematical impossibility that the wages that the hike in wages that you've received or the hike in Social Security you received can no way keep up with 20% inflation. I don't care what they say in the CPI number. If inflation ain't 20%, I'll eat my hat. I just got a brand new hat that Tom bought me. It says Bubba's on it.
And as rents soar, so will the homeless population. And
right.
So will crime. It's a vicious cycle, folks.
I mean, it is brutal, and it's being masked by an imbecile. Okay. Earnings estimates will disappoint as Fed tightens policy. Listen, the companies are too smart. They're already making lower projections, even if they know they're going to be higher, because they don't want the stocks to drop. But when when it's time and when the market's really ready to go, there ain't nothing they can do either. It's going to go. Okay. Occupancy rate down 14% compared to the same week in 2019. That is in the hotel industry, which has been my argument since we came back from COVID and they learned how to use Zoom and other meeting types of places, that we were never going to see the travel industry resume to what it once was. There will be more leisure travel, but I believe the day of the active business traveler is over unless there's unbelievably important meetings. And I think you're seeing that reflected even in the speed of the flights when you fly somewhere. Now, again, I know that the flight time is over call so they can say they're on time. We know that. We all know that. But I've been making the Las Vegas route trip for over 40 years. Okay. And I have never, until the last year, been 40 minutes early every trip in. Okay. Going out to get the win. Coming in, I can't believe it. The Biden administration spin on Russia Ukraine is bullshit. And I'll continue to call it until I'm proved wrong. But
Bubba, yes, the sir. Duke of Delaware is deficient.
So again, remember that you're getting a spin. You're getting a spin which is more based on their agenda than is based on fact. Okay. So keep that in mind. Again, whether you voted for him or not, I don't listen. My sisters voted for him. Okay. So I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm just saying that you get a narrative that is false and it creates a lot more problems down the road. Okay. So worked up today. All right. And from our friend Connie, who got a great report on a special trial she's in. And she gave me a big capital and said I could share it. So I'm sharing it. Good. Thank Connie. We're very happy for you. And very happy. Unbelievable.
Thrilled.
But anyways, great difficulties may be surmounted by patience and perseverance. This is what we talk about all the time. Listen, they don't hand out $100 bills on the street corner. Okay. Well, maybe this administration will, but they don't. Okay. And if they hand out hundreds, they'll be worth like dollars. Somebody sent me a cartoon, 0 cents. Okay. In the meantime,
My dad, that's by the way, that's what my dad said to my brother and I when we were growing up always. He still says he's 91, patience and perseverance.
I mean, listen, that's what life's about.
Yep.
Every day is not Christmas, no matter what you're doing. Okay. Whether you're married, single, with a partner, wherever you are, not every day ain't Christmas. Okay. And you have to be patient if you want those things to be correct. Okay. In the meantime, her State of the Union, which I was really laughing at. One day, many will hang their heads in shame when they realize the evil they defended and the heroes they ridiculed. This is kind of on your message as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, you can buy into the crap that's spun on TV. You can buy into the crap that is said, but the facts are right in front of you. Okay? The facts are jumping you in the ass every time you put up a gas in your car. Every time you go to a restaurant, every time you go to the grocery store, they're telling you right to your face. You're gonna continue to let this happen. Okay, we're gonna continue to take advantage.
Let's start with the basic job of government is to keep us safe, and so we could go out and we could live our lives and not get killed in the streets.
You mean they're not supposed to be the biggest employer in the world?
I mean, come on, it's disgusting. And the people who put their lives on the line every day, they're the people that we're spitting at. So not us. I'm saying they're the people getting spit at. It's
the Constitution reads
disgusting.
City, county, state, and an overseer, not the world's largest employer. Okay. In the meantime, my bitch, I always bitch, but I'm just a bitch. But the world is laughing at the U.S. and the administration continues to weaken a nation, and I think that's spot on. And it makes me. I'm old. So it may not have as much effect on me, but I know it's going to have effect on my children, my grandchildren, your grandchildren. And it makes me sad. It makes me mad. And I hope to God that they fix this situation, because right now, between the letting in of illegal immigration, okay, and I understand from a pretty reliable source that California had a budget surplus. And what are they doing with their surplus? They're using it to fund to allow more illegals to come into the country. Okay. You tell me.
Does that surprise you? Does it surprise you?
No. 66% of their budget already goes to illegals, but they have a surplus and they don't fund their pensions, CalPERS. Okay. And what do you think? This is all going to just magically, the minute the market starts to really sell off, okay, which is most people's case is why they won't. Many of these pensions haven't been funded for years. They've been riding the wave of the market. Okay. And again, it ain't pretty. It's not a pretty picture. That's all I can tell you. Okay. So look, you have to take a reasonable understanding. Sometimes you have to look past your own environment and how well or poorly you're doing and realize that most of these issues are being created for a reason, and the reasons are not to our best interest. Okay. So
No.
in the meantime,
the People's Republic of California.
Oh, kill me. Anyways, as we look at the indexes, the Dow, Yankee Michael, which we use the future. And again, this is tomorrow's, we're seeing tomorrow's trade today. How about that? The start is the 22nd. But in the meantime, look, this market looks bad. Okay. We are short. We officially reversed everything at the end of last week. Okay. And it looks bad. Okay. And I think there's a lot of room to go on the downside. But the one case I will tell you, again, I don't only say this to the upside. Remember, I will tell you how the chart reads no matter what it looks like. And this has probably gone down just a little bit too fast. And I would certainly expect a spike rally or a dead cat bounce or a short covering or rip your face off type of move coming. Okay. Whether it comes tomorrow, I don't know. Nobody knows when that's coming, but I'll tell you what you can do to recognize it. Okay. You can see it as they start to buy them and they should be selling them and they continue to load them up and you start to see the speed to accelerate. You get that. That's the shorts covering. And it was my case that was how gold made the initial breakout a couple of weeks ago. Okay. It doesn't matter why, that's what happened. In the meantime, support in my mind has to be all the way down at 33,000, which I'm not a buyer anyways. Okay. And resistance is going to be about 34.5 or so, 34.6, right in this neighborhood here. Okay. And don't be surprised again, especially if they happen to crater tomorrow morning, overnight into tomorrow morning, don't be surprised if that rally comes tomorrow. Okay. Because, when they get, no matter what's going on around, if they get too much overdone, you might get that short covering rally. Remember, what happens in a short covering rally is somebody's, seeing everything that suggests the market should be going in this direction, and it's not. Okay. And suddenly somebody starts to cover, and then people see it. Oh, more people start to cover. And next thing you know, you get the rats crawling over each other to get out. Okay. So just keep that in mind. But again, this is certainly, I'd love to sell at 34.5 or 34.6. Okay. I would sell more. Okay. I am willing to sell significantly more until it is proven, but it does look to me that we're breaking through the downside, but we'll see. Again, we've got to get down and close, below 33.7 or so. In the meantime, as I said, 33,000 to 34.6. The S&P, Echo Sierra, looks the same, pretty ugly. And as we said, expecting a big move out, well, it looks like it's going to be a downside. Now, is it? I can't answer that. I don't know. It's going to be a downside. I think it's going to be a downside. Everything is set up for it to be a downside. And again, it has nothing to do with the administration. It's got to do with everything everything that we are paying for now, okay, is going to create problems with everybody. The supply chain that is not functioning correctly and the over prices that we're paying will have an effect on everything, okay, which will create the much bigger sell-off. But the sellers, the markets will tell you much ahead of time the issues that are there, okay? And you can see they've started to move down. Now, again, in the same case, the move down was maybe a little bit too fast. I wouldn't be surprised to see 4,400 come back to play. And I think your support has got to be at 42. Okay, 42 to 44, pretty big ranges. But again, look what's happening. I don't have to justify them. There they are right in front of you.
Yeah, so it's what we said, Bubba. Listen, you got to widen your ranges out when the volatility is there, because you have to. The range that you expect has to be a function of what's going on in the markets.
100%. Okay. So again, remember that that's what the market is. The market tells you what it's going to do. It's your job to listen to it. Okay. Again, if you choose not to listen and you think you're smarter than the market, well, good for you. Okay. And the NASDAQ, November, Quebec, oh, you can vote. And this has now reached that big spike low from a few weeks ago. Okay. And this looks like it's headed much lower. Okay. And interestingly enough, look what happened. So we had the straight spike down, got the bounce, and now a resumption. Okay. So again, somewhere in here, expect a bounce and expect it to be a sellable bounce. And right now, 14,000. Okay. I give them with both hands. Okay. 14,000. I'm not a buyer at any price. I mean, again, if I'm making a day trade, it's got nothing to do because the day trade lasts 4 minutes. Okay. But long term, this looks like it's got a lot of room to go on the downside. And we are seeing the tech wreck. Okay. And, if anybody remembers the 90s and then 2001, I'm not saying it's going to happen again, but it would not be a surprise. Okay.
That was ugly.
Okay. I don't believe in those patterns, Steve. I understand Head and Shoulders, but to me, I can read it much faster my way than trying to wait for those very long-term patterns to develop. Okay. But this is the neckline. Anyways. And the Russell, Romeo Tango Yankee, which was a little bit stronger for the last couple of weeks, and then suddenly, pow, bang, zoom. And again, the Russell's probably 1900, 1890, 2080. Okay, that hasn't changed. And again, if you clean all my crap up here, if you just review it from just a straight view, okay, resistance is clearly at 2080. Okay, and support is clearly. The first support is probably like 1970 or so, right about here. Okay, and they had the one false breakout here and back up to the top, and now we're trying to break again. But if we get below, 1880, 1886, and we close below there, duck, look out below. Okay, because they're coming, baby. Okay, and of course the VIX, Victor India X-ray. Look, now this action, the VIX, as we've mentioned many times, Andy, right? We don't like to see the straight up spike because usually it fails right away and it comes right back down.
No, I like this action in the VIX.
this suddenly looks like it's a little bit more powerful. Okay. It suddenly seems to be stair-stepping its way higher. Okay. Now, again, if the VIX explodes in the morning tomorrow, I would suspect it's going to fail and come back down, and we'll see. I mean, again, it's certainly making higher lows with inside this ugly pattern. And suddenly, if you remember, just about 2 years ago, we were at 10 was about the average. Now suddenly it's about 15 to 20. So again, that's sending you a message. And remember that you'll hear the people telling you there's all kinds of call buyers out there. You never know what's on the other side of that call buyer. Okay. That is, when I first started trading, they didn't have put options. You had to create a synthetic put by buying calls and selling the stock. So just remember, just because somebody tells you they're buying a lot of calls does not make it bullish. We don't predict if USA and Russia resolve it take off. I don't think so. I think we're going a lot lower, Ben. Look, there's too many. I think Russia and Ukraine is a backstory. That's my opinion. Okay. In the meantime,
inflation's the critical.
Right. The ignorance of the Fed that should have been raising for 8 years already. The ignorance of the administration to continue to funnel out money. Okay. The way they handled the whole COVID thing, they put every small business out of work. So
look, you could also look at it this way. If this, as this intensifies with Russia, it gives the Fed an out not to get so hawkish.
Right. Exactly.
So don't. That's why we don't watch the news.
Right. I watch VEASAN all day long. Actually, today I watched a 30 for 30. But anyways, in the meantime, Apple, which we are still long, doesn't look very good, but it's really just stuck in that consolidation pattern about 170, 165, 165 to 175. Okay. And we'll see if my guess is if Apple closes lower tomorrow, it'll probably reverse. That would be my guess. But overall, it don't look so bad. When you look at the other charts, this doesn't look so bad. Okay. And certainly it is one of the best companies in the country, in the world.
Well,
right.
That's true of bear markets. Bear markets, the weakest links do the worst.
Right.
The strongest links, they might go down, but they do a hell of a lot better.
100%. So, I mean, again, look, right now we're long. Okay. And I obviously we didn't have any trade today, so I don't have a what to tell you. And we won't make any adjustments until tomorrow night. So, but in the meantime, 165 to 175, and of course, Alpha Golf, the silver, First Majestic Silver. Okay. And again, we're long. And as I said to you, that this could easily spike up through $11, $12, and here it is. Okay. To me, once again, this is just a way to play. If you're bullish silver, okay, to me, this is one of the better ways to play it with the lesser amount of risk. Okay, with a chance for a huge upside.
Exactly, because if silver's going to go up 20, 30, 40%, this thing's going to double, triple, or quadruple.
So I don't give levels on the VIX, Ken, but 24 to 30 if you want them.
You get a lot of leverage with this puppy.
Right. So this is, look, again, it's on our portfolios for one reason, and that's to play the upside. Okay, we'll never make much for these levels to the downside when we're short. And we'll never get hurt much to the downside when we're short. But when it does decide to take off and go back to 20, 21, 22, 28, we'll make a fortune. Okay. That's all. That's why it's on. In the meantime, for today, 1150. Okay. And of course, to 1250. 1150 to 1250 is what I'd be looking at. Okay. And I'm not a seller at any price. Okay. AMD, Alpha Michael Delta, which we will be reversing, I believe, tomorrow. Okay. I forget. Remember, we already reversed. I forgot. Either way, we're short. Okay. And again, it's really just stuck between 130 and 110. It had a little bit of a false breakout, which we see characteristic in some of the other markets, but it looks like it wants to go lower. And again, here, if you erase everything out of here, okay, and just look at it raw, here, what if you're on a treadmill, are you walking uphill or downhill? Okay. That's the simple way to think about this. Okay. That's certainly a downtrend to me. And again, it's continued to fail on making lower lows too, with the exception of the pop. And then it came right back in. And here we are in this, what they'll call channeling down. Okay. We're short 110 to 130. And I would not be surprised to see it go below 100. Okay. Bravo, Alpha. We remain short. And this remains in a pattern of consolidation, which is tormenting. And again, all this is really telling us is we went from wide consolidation to much more narrow consolidation. We got earnings this week, I think, right? Earnings are this week, I believe.
It tells you a big move's coming.
Oh yeah, I think earnings are this week. Let's see. Earnings are Thursday, 24th. Yeah.
Yeah, the problem is you can't, it's Chinese company.
Yeah, you get nothing.
Coming. Who knows if they're right?
You get Luca and Coffee and the others. Okay. In the meantime,
Bullshit.
the chart says 110 to 130. We're short. I'd love to be a seller, but again, I will warn anybody of trading this unless you're in with us in the program of trading this before earnings, because again, the volatility is exploding higher into that because of the earnings, and you could get hurt by accident and still be right, but be forced out before you get to be right. So 110 to 130. Bido, Bravo, India, Tango, Oscar, which is we're still watching this now. We actually did on our Saturday options call, we did actually put on a trade in Bido. Okay. But it was not a directional trade. It was a neutral type of trade that will benefit from a big move in Bitcoin in either direction. Although I do believe that the next really big move will be higher. Okay, you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So in the meantime, I'm still really trying to get a handle for how they're going to handle. And unfortunately, the liquidity in the futures market is only really liquid in the front month. And we have not seen this backwardation and contango patterns and how they're going to handle it with these ETFs, because that is, when you look at some of these ETFs that represent a future or a commodity, most of the time you get screwed because they have no idea how to understand backwardation and contango, which is why USO is one of the biggest piece of craps there are. Okay. In the meantime, as I look at this, I would say 24 to 28. Okay. BitQ, which is Bitcoin Soup, which we held no position nowhere. But again, this is, if you are a Bitcoin fan or looking for a way to get into Bitcoin, this is Bitcoin Soup, as Andy appropriately named it. It's got, I don't know, about 30 companies involved in it that are all involved in either the mining or whatever. And again, if you want to be in part of Bitcoin, but don't want to be exposed or don't want to get into the wallets and all the other fancy stuff that goes with it, to me, this is a pretty good play. And at 15 bucks, I think it's a great play. I mean, the fact is I own it and I would buy it. I would buy more at any price because either Bitcoin's going higher or it's going out. So, and I think they're going higher. So we'll see. Yeah. In the meantime, 15 to 18. Chewy, Charlie Hotel, Whiskey a Yankee. Okay. And we were long and we will be short after tomorrow's open. We will be short this. Okay. It reversed over the weekend. And here you are on somewhat of some support. Okay. And we still can't understand it. It's such a great company. But I think it tells you about everything. I think even the pets are getting screwed now. What do you think?
This is the perfect bearish pattern in this stock. Lower highs and lower lows. And,
so,
until it finds a bottom, it turns around and it's, it just doesn't look good.
There's a very good chance that if it can break through the 44 level, it's going to 36. For today, 48 to 40, and we'll see what happens. But we will be short tomorrow. At the moment, we were still long, and we had bought it down here somewhere. And so we'll see. Coin, Charlie Oscar, India, November, which we are long. And again, it came off nice at the bottom. And what really needs to happen in this is it needs to hold right in this area where it's at. Okay. It needs to hold, let's say 185 probably. Okay. And if it's that, it's 185 to 220. If it goes below, then it can take out the lows. Okay. Now, right now we're long. And I see no reason that it's changing anytime soon, but certainly you could see a big beat down in Bitcoin. And, it was well, right now it closed the overnight session down almost 3,000 Bitcoin. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in the next 12 hours. Okay. In the meantime, for our money for here, I would say that probably 175 to 220. Okay, 175 to 220. DraftKings, Delta Kilo November Golf.
Horrible.
Got beat up on earnings and acquisition costs. And it was interesting. I was having a conversation the other day with an executive, and he believes, as we do, that it's a very viable, as these apps continue to grow, you know, they basically have suffered through all the acquisition costs. And, you know, Las Vegas is getting ready. You know, in Las Vegas, if you live here, you don't get the same kind of bets you can make if you're on an app in Chicago. Okay. They really stick it to you here. They really limit the markets. But I think they're getting ready to go because you've already got Caesars now that is in a number of states, and Wynn is in a number of states. And I think what's going to happen is one of the big players is going to come in and buy these guys out now.
Why not? Because the acquisition cost, you know, they'll buy them for pennies on a dollar.
They could pay, let's say, $50 for the stock and still make a fortune because of the amount of money that they cost to get that volume of dollars in, and then the handle that they have created. Okay.
Yep.
Did you know that the Super Bowl, New York had the biggest month? They were only been open for a month. They had the biggest month in history in gambling handle. Do you know that?
Biggest month in any state, you mean?
And including Las Vegas.
Doesn't surprise me. It's a very popular state.
Right. I mean, it's a big city, a lot of people. Wait till they get California open. Anyways, so we're short. It looks bad. Okay. Again, we've been short for quite a while on the portfolio. I own it in my retirement account, and it looks pretty putrid. I mean, it's kind of nasty, and right out of consolidation, it broke down. But again, I'm looking at a potential takeover candidate. I don't think they're going out of business, but certainly this may be in some trouble here, or maybe we finally saw the bottom. I don't know. We're short, and for now, I'd be a seller at 20 if I was trading it. Okay, I'm a buyer at no price right now, other than if I want to take a shot somewhere. Okay, Facebook. Well. How does that look? The big gap down, the attempt to consolidate, and then the continuation. And of course, we're still short this, and it continues to they're cracking them. Dow down 500, NASDAQ down 400, S&P down 80, Russell down 400, crude up 372. Wow. Whew. Look what just happened here. Hold on a second. I'm going to share this with you guys real quick. Here's the
Mr.
This is a 4-minute chart.
It's all about Mr. Putin.
Yep, here's a 4-minute chart right here. Okay.
Where's gold? Up. New high.
Look at this. My goodness gracious.
We'll see 100 tomorrow.
Yeah, gold is up $12. It's up $6 more from where it closed earlier. So there you go.
You know.
All right. Well, again, that's not a surprise.
I mean, listen, Putin, I watched Putin's thing. He gave a history lesson and basically justified his reason why he says Ukraine belongs under Russia's umbrella. And that's it. And he's not interested. He don't care about sanctions. He don't care.
Right.
So the next move is yours, Duke of Delaware. See what he does. And I'm going to tell you what he's going to do right now. He's going to do nothing.
Right.
He's going to do sanctions. We're going to get a lot of sanctions.
Right.
And then China will make whatever sanctions we put on them toothless. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
Right. I agree. Okay.
And I agree with you. It'll be a peaceful takeover because they'll just, you know, they'll let the Russians go right in. That's it.
Right. So in the meantime, Facebook, I mean, I don't know. The next little thing I'd be watching would be 200. This is the opposite on the way down. Okay. You know, when they go back the other way, the whole numbers mean something as well.
When do you think that the activist investors get in and throw Zuckerberg out?
I don't. It's probably sooner than you think.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, you know, he took on Apple, and you know, he made this Meta. He made a couple of bad moves here, and I think his days are numbered.
Right. I don't disagree whatsoever. I think you are probably spot on. Okay. And I think that you could see some really crazy stuff going on. In the meantime, Facebook, again, 200. And again, I would suspect that if it's going to find a low here, it's going to get to about 190, 195, because they're going to flush through 200 if they get there. Okay. In the meantime, sell at 230. Okay. First Solar, Foxtrot, Sierra Lima, Romeo, again, and we're shorted. It's in tight consolidation. It's got earnings this week. So again, it's really not, unless you're in all the time, which we are, I would just advise being neutral here. But if you look at the levels at how tight it is, we used to have $10 levels here. Now we got 4. Okay. So think about it. But again, if you're in the portfolios and you're already in, and if you're not in, then don't bother. Wait till the earnings are over and react to the price afterwards. Okay. Gdx Golf Delta X-ray, as I said earlier, same thing, right? We got too much of a speed up and we're up at that 35 level, right at some resistance. Now, again, I'm obviously based on gold being up $18 right now. And yes, Jim, I'm still hedging DraftKings, unfortunately. Yes. I'm about ready.
Gold.
I'm getting ready to put it in the American Airlines category, but I'm giving you another 2 weeks.
Based on gold up what it's up now, this thing is much higher than.
Yes, I agree. Okay. So in the meantime, we're long it anyways. Okay. And I would suspect that tomorrow is going to open through 35, and unless something happens overnight suddenly, but I would suspect we're going to open tomorrow. Okay. And way through 35. We'll see. We'll see if that is indeed the case, but that's what it looks like from here. So right now, I would tell you that 34 is going to be some support, and the top, it should take out 36, probably right in the opening tomorrow. We'll see. Okay. 34 to 36, and IWM, India, Whiskey, Michael, okay, which we happen to be still long. This is where you get the rubber meets the road in some of these ETFs. Sometimes ETFs change first, sometimes the futures change first. Obviously, this ETF will change on Wednesday. Okay, if this selling continues, but it has not done so yet because again, the real story is the hours of operation and what they call when they mark, and that's how the algos are calculated. So I would not be a buyer here. I'd be a seller. And of course, obviously tomorrow morning, it's going to be too late if you're not already short. So, but from a level standpoint, I think 192 is in play, if not lower. And I think right now, you got to give it a very wide range, 192 to 208. Okay. Mara, Michael Alpha, Romeo Alpha. Okay. Which we are still long. And again, it's really just hovering. Now, my number one crypto trader, not crypto trader, but number one trader of Mara said sell the rips. So, but in the meantime, we're still long it right here. It's certainly not horrible. It's just stuck in consolidation. And I think the key moment is going to come right where it's at right now. Okay. Either it's going to hold here and go back and try to take out the top side, or it's going to fail here and it's going to get flushed. Okay. That's what the chart is showing me. What about you? Think you see anything there?
Look, this thing just trades with Bitcoin,
Right.
and it seems that this geopolitical situation is not bullish for Bitcoin. It just feels
Right. I agree with that.
that's what it feels like. So
And it should be bullish because the people that want to get out, that's the way they're going to get their money out.
I understand, but it also means there's going to be more hacking, more cyber warfare, all this kind of crap. So I would say you got to go with the flow here. You got to be cautious here. Everything with
68 to 72.
gold roofing, oil roofing, stocks going down. You say that the odds are this thing's gonna go lower.
Doesn't that scare the crap out of you? The extra hacking and also.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, listen,
Metaverse.
our electric grid is horrible.
Yeah. They'll shut it down someday.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Mara right now would
And
be.
by the way, then there'll really be no food in Albertsons.
20 to 25. Okay. Neo, November, India, Oscar, which will remain short. Okay. And look, it looks like crap. Another Chinese company that looks like crap. Surprise. Okay. So look, is it going to rally? Someday it might rally. But again, one of the problems you have to be worried when you're in a Chinese stock in general, okay, are the earnings real at all? Is there anything really there? Again, we've had some experience with some of their things that they don't usually end well because they don't have the same reporting requirements they have in the United States. Not that ours are much better, but they can certainly hide just about anything. Okay. So in the meantime, we're short, and 22 to 26 would be what I'd be watching. Okay. Nugget. Oh, this ought to be flying tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I
will, based on what's happening right now, and again, I don't know what's going to happen when the market's open in 15 hours from now, right? that this could be at 65 tomorrow morning. Okay. It's at the upper end. It stopped or faded where it should have. We're long. Okay. It held where it should have slowed down. And now it looks like right now, and that's all I can base on is the price of gold is it's up $17 at 1916 right now. So in the meantime, 54 to, I'm going to say 64 for now, but I'm still on a seller at 64. Okay. But that would be probably the next level of resistance.
It's probably there right now. It's probably, with gold.
Probably.
Up that much,
You're probably right. Unfortunately, it's not open, so I can't, but you're probably right.
Yeah.
Okay. NVIDIA, November Victor Delta Alpha. And of course, unfortunately, we turned along here and it's just back on the bottom end of support. I would suggest probably 225 to 230 as a support level and up to as high as 270 as resistance. Now there's probably 260s, probably the first wave, possibly even 250 would be the first resistance. But your major support is going to come around 220. Okay. So again, it's kind of mid-range. If you clean all this crap up, okay, again, just to get a clean view, okay, you've got a much longer extended uptrend, okay, and you're now in recent getting the downtrend, which is really suggesting as this narrows in, a much bigger move is coming here. Now, certainly it would be no surprise, and if the markets collapse, this is going right with it, baby. Okay, but right now we're long. Okay, Penn. This is interesting. Penn. You would think that Penn would underperform DraftKings, but it's actually overperforming it right now. Okay, it's very interesting. I mean, either way, we're also short this, and it looks awful as well. But it is in a little bit better pattern than DraftKings. It's like, to me, this looks like it's 40 to 50. And if you don't think you can get there, the stock I think was 150 about 18 months ago. Yeah. Okay, so again, anything is possible. And the more volatility that comes in the market, the bigger these moves are going to be. Okay. The bonds are up a full point now too, as well. Sell them. The Qs, Quebec. Okay. And we're short the Qs. Okay. And look, you're breaking down. I think it's probably a little bit too much speed, but you are breaking down. And certainly I think you got to watch the 334 level. Okay, I would expect if we get there, which right now is going right now, we're getting there tomorrow morning. Okay, based on what I'm watching here right now, I would think that would be a spot you'll probably get an initial bounce off of that before it collapses even farther. Okay, but it looks pretty bad, and the whole trend looks bad and much lower. So again, that could change, but the way it looks doesn't look good. So we're going to say 334 to 356. Okay, 334 to 356. Okay. And the Riot, which is just Riot is a different version of Mara. It's amazing. It used to be much higher. Now it's half of it, not half, but it's 40% off of it. But it's really just stuck between 16 and 22. We don't carry a position here. And again, these are so correlated to the crypto that if cryptos take off again, these are going to start flying again too, because they'll come running after them. Okay, so just again, we don't carry a position anywhere. It's just something that we use that for those who want to trade in the crypto world without going into the fancy wallets and all the other stuff. Okay, Roku, Romeo Oscar Kilo Uniform. Boy, they get hammered on earnings. Did we say it was going to 100, big boy?
Yep.
Okay, and there it is. I mean, it didn't get quite to 100, but it got pretty close. And the low was
Could be there right now.
it might be there tomorrow morning. And no question about that.
Yeah.
Look, this is horrible. Again, mostly, because of all the cheap money and because of everything that was going on and the teen and no place else to go, all these COVID stocks went ballistic. And of course, that's very similar to what happened in the 90s in the internet stuff. Okay. And now you're seeing the true results later. Okay. And again, am I saying that Roku's no good? Listen, I use it. I got it on 17 TVs. I mean, but again, you overprice on me and now you're seeing a collapse. Now, right now we're short. We've been short. Hell, we've been short since 190. Okay. I would suspect that 140 is going to be resistance. Watch 100 I would suspect it'll go through 100. Okay. And probably pop from there. Again, this will be the same we talked about in a couple other things. It'll clean out the stops that are below it, protecting it, make a little bit of a pop, and then really get trashed. Okay. So we'll see. In the meantime, 100 to 140 right now. The SPY, Sierra Papa Yankee, okay, which we will be shorting tomorrow. Okay, we're long at the moment, but we'll be shorting tomorrow. And again, it's got to be based on the futures. It's got to be down $7 right now. It's got to be trading right here, right now.
Yep.
Okay. This S&P is down 76 points, so that's $7.60 approximately here.
The one thing, Bubba, in the past, I would say 75% of the time when we've seen these kinds of moves in the opening, they're generally big fades. Now, I'm not saying this one is. There's a lot going on.
I said that earlier. You're probably right. Again, I don't disagree with that whatsoever. I think that this could be I think you could see, as I said earlier, if we get trashed now and overnight, you could see that dead cat bounce tomorrow.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
You could get that. You can see that rip your face off rally.
And I'll tell you set the stage for it. The press is really building this up, and the markets are expecting Russian troops to roll over that border tonight. If you don't get it tonight, you probably get a relief rally.
Probably. I don't disagree whatsoever. Okay. In the meantime, again, so we're looking, we're going to be short, so we'll just depend on from where, but it looks like it has lots of room to go on the downside. Tilray, which again, I just watched it for a little while and we actually put a position on it, but again, I was fooled again. Okay. There's a little bit of volume. It looked good. Again, it's a pot stock, which we don't trade anymore. And I brought it up, but I had it. That's the only one I covered tonight. And the Qs, Tango, Quebec, Quebec, Quebec. Okay. Which we no longer carry in our portfolio, but I would say looking at this, we'd be shorted. Okay. And look, this is the Q on steroids, so to speak. And, it moves up much bigger and down much further. And, now you get into the danger area. And this is where the leverage ETFs really crush you. Okay. You get into the danger area of not only is it going down because the Qs are going down, but then there's more time decay because leverage ETFs work off a multiplier. Okay. So if you just do the math in your head, okay, if you multiply 50 times 10, it's 5, 60 becomes 6, and of course as it goes down, so then they start deflating like a big option.
Right.
Okay.
Just put up a multi-year chart. That tells you everything you have to.
And there was a big split in here as well, which was what was the split? It was 10 for 1. What was it 2 for 1? I don't remember. There was a split, but here is, you can see that it was as low as, I don't know, 93 cents. Okay. Right. So again, you get this ridiculous action in these markets. Okay. And especially these bear ETFs. I mean, the best one is this one, I'll get off topic for 1 second, but this is always my favorite. Okay. This in 2008 was it's equal about $1 million a share now.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's ridiculous what's going on here. Yeah. So anyways, as we move on, okay. And the levels in TQQQ, okay. 50 looks like support, but certainly it looks like it's going to go through like nothing. Again, obviously right now it's probably at 40. Okay. I would like to be a seller at 50 is what I would say. Okay. And I'm not a buyer at any price right now. Tesla, Tango Sierra Lima Alpha, just stuck in a downtrend in consolidation. And notice, and like a couple of the others, the consolidation is below the support level. Okay. Below the support levels. Okay. I gave you First Solar, 68 to 72. Okay. SPY, I don't have any levels. I just told you that it's going to be about 424. I don't have any. What can I tell you? The stock's going to be $8 lower right now. There's nothing I can give you at the moment. Okay. This again, look, I don't trade this anymore because I lost my ass trying to short it all the time. Okay. But to me, I'd love to sell it. I just won't. I won't get involved with it anymore. But to me, I'd love to sell it about 940. Okay. The VIX, Victor X-ray. Where do you think this is going to open tomorrow?
Well, based on right now,
yeah,
probably about 29.30.
Yeah. Well, we're long right now.
Who the hell knows? Who the hell knows? Tomorrow.
That's a good thing. We're long, and those of you who are long,
29.30, I would say.
And those of you who are along this from that position we put on a few weeks ago, make sure that if you see it opening, spiking higher, that you're working to pitch up, roll up a couple of those extra calls. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. But you have them working. You want them in the market before the market opens. Okay. You want to be prepared ahead of time and figure out what your price should be and set it, because what will happen in a lot of these cases is you'll get this big move, which could be continued down. Now, it may not be. Again, this could all change in hours from now. What I'm seeing now, but be prepared. If you have it working, then you won't be disappointed. If you don't have it working, you won't be able to get it done. That I can promise you. Okay. When Whiskey Yankee November, look, it's going higher. We're long. Okay. It's stuck up here at this upper end of the range, 92 to 96. XBI continues to be consolidating to the lower end. And again, we continue to want to be sellers around 95. Look for 85 as the next support, and if it breaks through there, help us all. And Zoom, which we no longer cover, but we would be short. Okay. And it continues to go on its trek back to probably 100. Okay. And then probably lower than that. But
Lower than it was then before the pandemic.
Right. So in the meantime, again, just be careful. And again, you're going to be in wild conditions, which means there's an opportunity to make lots of money. Okay. But if you start trying to outguess or outsmart or outthink the market, guess what's going to happen? Okay. You're going to end up in the toilet because you'll get whipsawed out of this market if you don't have a plan going in. The opportunities are going to be abundant if this continues. However, if you try to outthink it, outsmart it, or take shots, you'll get buried. Okay.
And the biggest risk is when you put on something and it goes against you, stick to your plan. Don't let it become an investment. That's right. The biggest mistake.
The biggest key in this business is take your losses when you're supposed to. Right. Microsoft, Michael Sierra, Foxtrot Tango.
Take your medicine.
It looks pretty bad to me, big boy. I think that again, right now it looks like it wants to go lower. Okay. Again, it's in that similar pattern. It's consolidating below some major support, and it's been trash pretty good. It's down about 12%. To me, look, it's a great company, but I'd be a seller at 300 unless I owned it and was hedging. Okay. Any others real quick that I look at? No problem. Thanks, Kenny. I appreciate it, man. Listen, I know I'm a pain in the ass. Square dance. So that's another one. This is, I got news for it. I do own some of this anyways, but this is one I'm getting ready to take a shot on. Okay. Again, I know what my exposure is. I know what I'm willing to risk, but we're getting to a point here. But again, this is the tech wreck. Remember, we went through this in the 90s. Okay. They're never going down again. New economy, old economy. And all of a sudden, what happened in 2001? Oh, they collapsed. Okay. So again, first of all, we are, I think I forgot to cover this too, didn't I? I don't know. Maybe I took it up. I don't even remember anymore. But in the meantime, we're short and still short. And I would suspect that you're going to see continued pressure in here. And it doesn't matter. It's not Bitcoin. People want to say, oh, it's a Bitcoin. Well, no, they got they're payment systems. That's what they are. Okay. So in the meanwhile, okay, that is why at the end of the day, the stock needs to be fundamental. Right. If you're going to hold it, it has to be fundamentally solid. Okay. I would stop adding shares, Raphael, of DraftKings. I think you probably have enough by now. Okay. And I think that, again, it looks pretty putrid. Okay. Again, I'm not hiding from it. I'm not telling you it doesn't look good. I would probably stop and let's see what happens. And either see if something fundamentally changes or they get taken over. But I don't think that you want to continue to accumulate. It's like when I stopped hedging American Airlines, because I no longer can see them ever being successful again. Okay. So, all right, kids, listen, again, be careful. Have a great, all right, last one, Adobe. Last one, Alpha, Delta, Bravo, Echo. Again, the tech wreck, sell it, find a 480, sell it with both hands. Okay, that's what I would do. Okay, if I'm going to trade, I don't trade Adobe, but if I did, I'd be loading up at 480 if it happened to get back there. I might load up at 460 if it doesn't. Okay, it looks horrible. Okay, but again, if you own it and you're hedging it, it's one thing. If you're looking to trade it, you can only trade it from the short side. Okay, all right, kids. Yeah, sell DraftKings buy. Well, of course you're gonna say. Look, be careful out there. I'll see many of you during the mornings this week with that webinar we're doing. If you come to the futures thing, and of course I'll see if you futures day trade with me. I got to change the time for tomorrow. I will send you an email later. And hedging tomorrow afternoon, and have a great week, everybody. Andy, thanks so much. Appreciate it. We'll see you all later.
Bye-bye.